Podcast One presents The Lady Gang, the Hollywood Girl Posse, with LadyGang Quickie. Here's Keltieknight, Beccatobin, and jacvanek.
Let's make this quick.
Hello. Welcome to LadyGang Quickie. I am Becca here with Jack and Kelty, and we have a special guest for you. Back by popular demand, she's here to fix our lives. Kelty, take it away.
Okay, so the last time viviantu was on LadyGang, the episode did incredibly well. She is our favorite Wall Street girly, our rich BFF, and she's coming to us hot, guys. Hollywood hotness. I just pulled out because she sent me a PR book for her cute book, or a PR box for her cute book, which was so amazing. But then just yesterday arrived the one that I ordered on Amazon because I support my friends. Vivian's got a brand new book, Rich AF, The Winning Money Mindset That Will Change Your Life. It is now a New York Times bestseller.
Congrats.
And it's so fantastic. And it is such a good thing that Vivian's here today because I have a rule for 2024. And, last year, 2023 was all about quiet luxury. This year, 2024 is all about loud budgeting. I want us all to be talking about money all the time and being like, not like, ooh, this might be $400. This might be $200. No, quiet luxury only helps rich people. We want to get you rich. And so this year is all about loud budgeting. Please welcome back to the Lady Gang, New York Times bestselling author. Yay, viviantu.
Kelty, do you remember when we talked about this though? Months and months ago. And I was like, Kelty, like you guys did it. Like the whole squad did it. Like how do I do this? And it has been so stressful. I deeply regret launching my book December 26th because it absolutely blew up my Christmas. I straight up just didn't have one. But it's worth it. I feel like the response I've gotten about the book has been insane. People are loving it. People are changing their lives. They're being better with their money. Like I just feel like I have so many like positive stories about like someone saying like, you are the reason why I paid off all my debt. You are the reason why I opened a Roth IRA. And like, to feel like I can have that kind of impact on someone. It's sick. It's crazy.
It's huge.
It's so huge. What do you want like us to know about money in 2024? Because there's been so many conversations. I have a bunch of questions from our Facebook group, but like in general, it's been like kind of a bad time to buy a house, bad time to sell a house. Like are we in a recession? Like what can you give us like what the Wall Streeters are talking about right now? Like give us the money 2024 zhuzh.
Yeah, like the zhuzh is that generally speaking, everybody thinks interest rates are going to come down a little bit. But nobody on Wall Street knows what is happening. Nobody knows what the f is going to happen. Like if they did, frankly, they're like some of them probably might have a thought and they're going to gamble against that and essentially put a play on that. But like they could be definitely wrong. I feel like when I worked on the desk, like we would get a call every like 2 or 3 weeks from a hedge fund being like, well, we made a couple bad calls, time to shut down shop. And like, that's still the case. Like every year there's winners and losers and they are big names. They are very rich. They're very successful. They've all had wins in the past. It's just like, you never know who's going to be right. And hindsight's 2020 and it's easy to like point fingers and be like, ha, isn't that so funny? Like this big old hedge fund that's supposed to be so smart was like stupid, but like there are so many times like when people are right, when the people are wrong, you just don't know. What I will say is that like, frankly, I just feel like the American consumer is really starting to like freak out, which is totally fair. Eggs are expensive. Going to the grocery store is expensive. Living your life is expensive. To your point, it's hard because typically when you're buying a house, this is how it goes. If house prices are expensive, the cost of borrowing is very low. That's why they're expensive because so many people can afford to buy houses and they want to buy houses. On the other side, when interest rates are as high as they currently are, typically housing prices go down because fewer people want to buy homes. Mm-hmm. But that's not the case right now. The cost of borrowing money is high, but the cost of houses is still high and it hasn't really come in. So people are feeling like they're stuck between a rock and a hard place because they can't really afford to buy a home. And it's now cheaper to rent than buy in 70% of all US markets. All the while, the lecture and the traditional wisdom is that like, if you don't buy a home, you're an idiot.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So
Not
I
anymore.
just feel like it's a tough spot. Right.
I think the millennials we have been, the boomers have really gotten to our brains with that whole messaging of like, if you're renting, you're basically throwing money away and blah, blah, blah. But I think a lot of people, with Jack included in this conversation, she feels very anxious because she has that in her brain and she's paying her monthly rent and she's feeling like she's, quote, burning money, whatever, throwing away. But isn't it true that if she were to go out and buy an expensive home with this astronomical interest rate, that's the same thing as burning money or throwing it away? Like, yes, you are still at the end of the day owning something, but at what cost? It's like you're in it for an astronomical amount. So should that alleviate a little bit of pressure that these women, like millennial women, feel about owning a home and hurrying up? Like, just lay low, be patient, save your money. It's coming.
Yeah. So I, first and foremost, just want to put it out there. I am not rah, you must buy a home. Like, I actually think renting's awesome. And I say that as someone who owns a home in New York and rents a place in Miami. So like, I do both.
Yeah.
And there is a very abundantly clear reason of like why I don't feel like it's a good time to buy in Miami, and I'm not going to. That said, I just feel like people need to keep a couple things in mind. If you're buying a home, you need to stay there for at least, my dude, 5 to 10 years, because otherwise the closing costs are so damn high. It's not going to make sense. You're burning money on closing costs.
Mm-hmm, right.
And, Becca, to your point, yes, when you're buying a home, you are burning a lot of money on things that you are not getting as equity. So, you got the closing costs, you've got the mortgage underwriting costs, you've got all of this stuff that you're paying, the broker's fee, depending on what state you're in. Mm-hmm. Some states you don't have to as a buyer pay, the seller pays the whole thing, but it's a whole racket there. And you have to, pay for that inspection. You have to pay for all of this other stuff that that's not equity. Also, if you put less than 20% down, you got to pay private mortgage insurance every single month. So that's not money going towards equity. The interest rate money is not going towards equity. So it's not like you buy a home and suddenly all you're doing is creating equity. Like, you still have to pay fees. You still have to pay costs. And knowing that renting is cheaper than buying in so many markets now, it oftentimes does make more sense to rent. Yeah. I would also say when you're renting, you have so much more freedom. And if you are a young person, a millennial, right now is also kind of a scary time to be in the job market. But it's less scary if you have the flexibility to go and do whatever you want in any city you want. Yeah. And the worst that could happen is you have to break your lease. But if you have a home, it takes a minute to sell a house. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you might not be able to get out of there, or maybe you have to have it on the market for a while. This house doesn't sell. You can't get another place to live in the other city. Mm-hmm. It's a whole nightmare. So depending on who you are and your circumstances, renting or buying may make more sense, but we shouldn't make people who are renting feel bad, because right now, and frankly ever, but right now in particular, it's not a bad financial decision.
And there's also just nothing available.
Nothing available. The biggest thing that I wanted to ask you today for our girls is about debt, because we just are infiltrated with posts in our Facebook group about girls, and there's no shame in the game here, who have gotten themselves into massive credit card debt over the past few years, like $20,000, $30,000, $70,000. And I want to just read a couple little moments so that we get the vibe, but we all know what this is. And one girl said, my husband and I, it's been escalated from, we used to pay our balances off every month. Now we have 20 in debt. Should we refinance? Where should we get this money? This other woman said, I have almost $30,000 and I'm talking to a debt consolidation company. What is that? I don't know what's going on. And so another girl was like, I'm 24, I have 14K in credit card debt over 3 cards. And how do I get out of this? And people are really wondering, I mean, everything. So, but people are wondering, and there's a lot of talk about do you go to this person who's then going to consolidate it? Do you redo your loans? How do we get out of credit card debt this year? And then everyone in the comments is like, you should do the Dave Ramsey. And I was like, we need Vivian. Viviantu is our girl. You can't listen to a man about money because they don't understand the same way. They don't know what it's like to want a Chanel.
Yes. And Dave Ramsey is so icky. I'm so sorry. Like, I don't make public statements about other people, but I'll make a public statement when someone says if you have debt, the only time you should be inside of a restaurant is if you're in the back washing dishes. Like,
oh my God.
What a horrible thing to say to someone. What a horrible way to make someone feel. Debt is a tool, and not all of us are taught the same way about it. And frankly, if you do have debt, it does not make you a bad person. It is not morally good or bad. So let's put that one out there right now. 2, yes, you can crush your credit card debt. It is not impossible, but we got to talk about some stuff here, okay? So for our friends who are really, really committed to this, and they're like, I will do whatever it takes to pay off this credit card debt. And I am, really willing to, in fairness, tighten the belt. A good option might be a balance transfer card, but you have to be so, so committed. And I really do mean that. What a balance transfer card can help you do. So say you got 3 credit cards and you got credit card debt on them or whatever. You can essentially move a balance onto a balance transfer card, and you'll pay a small fee. It's roughly, I want to say like 3%, and you will get an APR, so the interest rate of 0% for a limited time, somewhere between 12 to 18 months. But if you know for a fact, you're like, I could pay this debt down in 12 to 18 months, if and only if the interest would just stop growing so damn fast.
Yeah.
This is how you do it. You pay a fee and you crush that debt. You crush it, and you're not paying interest on it for that time being. The big pitfall here is that if it ends up taking you longer than the 0% interest rate period, I guarantee you that APR is going to shoot right back up to a standard credit card APR, somewhere between 20 to 25%, which is very high.
Yeah.
Alternatively, you could take out a personal loan and pay off your credit card debt. Personal loans right now, you're going to get an interest rate that's, closer to a mortgage rate. So something 7, 8, 9, maybe if you have not great credit, 10%. But even at that level, that's half, if not less than half of what a credit card's interest rate might be. So again, puts you in a better position. You're going to be paying less interest. And again, the pitfall here is what I see happen sometimes is people take out a personal loan to pay off their credit card debt. And as they're paying off this personal loan, they see their credit card and they get back to their old ways. And they're like, well, I don't have any debt on this credit card. Then they end up maxing out that credit card again. And now not only do they have the same amount of credit card debt as when they started, but they also have this personal loan that's outstanding. Again, debt consolidation is basically just smushing all of your debt into one lump sum. And it typically has a lower interest rate. It's not a bad idea. One thing I do encourage people to maybe consider is debt counseling. If they really feel like, if the thought has come across their mind that they're like, I have a problem, like I cannot control this, debt counseling is super helpful. There are a lot of nonprofit organizations that do this. And what they do is you get assigned a counselor and they help you come up with a plan to pay off your debt. They will then also go out and reach out to the companies that are holding that debt balance with you and say, hey, I'm a debt counselor. I'm working with XYZ. Will you be able to offer us some waivers, some discounts? And essentially they're going to get that interest rate down, or they're going to get, all the late fees waived. They're able to do more than you can do as an individual. However, everything, there's a pro, there's a con. The con here is that if you are working with debt counseling, you cannot have a credit card. You're more than likely going to be asked to close down all of your credit cards because this is like the boot camp of debt pay down.
This is like the step before bankruptcy.
Yes, correct. This is like basically like things are dire, but there is still a light. This is how we're going to do it. You're not going to have all the niceties. You're not going to have the credit card rewards points, but it's a good way to kind of get it done. And no matter who you are, no matter how much credit card debt you have, like there is a way out, and don't feel like things are so overwhelming that you can't overcome them.
Yeah. I love that. That's great. My next question is about what I call it like mini money pots. So I think that, the investing and the making money off your money has been seen as something like once you have a bunch of money, you can make some money off your money, right? And it's like, oh, well, once you like have saved $100,000 or $50,000, it's like, oh yeah, now you can like put it somewhere and make some money. And what I've learned on my money journey is that like the way people get really rich is by like doing exactly what you say, Vivian, which is like using your money, like make your money work for you. You can't just sit around and try to like save pennies, because by the time you kind of save that penny, it's like worth less. And that's something I learned from you. But my question is, what about the people who maybe they got themselves out of credit card debt last year and they're now have, you know, $3,000, $5,000, maybe if they're lucky, $7,000, $10,000, $20,000 in a checkings account, or, you know, and it's like, they don't need to spend that money. You know what I mean? Like that is now their nest egg. They're not going to make a big purchase, but they like should be doing something more with it than the regular account that's getting like 1%. You know what I mean? Like, where do you put that money?
Yeah, this is a great question. And Kelsey, did you know that the regular account's not even getting you 1%? The regular savings account, and I have these numbers off the top of my head. A traditional savings account from like a brick and mortar bank that you'd find on the corner that you can walk into, the FDIC national average is 0.46%. So
half a percent almost.
So with inflation, are you losing money just having it in there?
Yeah, by far. But like, Jack, think about it this way: you give me $100 at the end of the year, you have $100.46. Things are even more dire with a checking account. A checking account returns 0.07%. So you give me $100 at the end of the year, you have $100.07. What the are you going to do with 7 cents?
Oh my God.
Nothing. However, there are other options. There are better options, and they're typically offered from online banks, and they offer high yield checking and savings accounts. So, transparently, they are a partner of mine. SoFi does a great job with this. Other brands that do a great job with this are a Marcus by Goldman Sachs, and Ally, Wealthfront, but they offer something called a high yield savings account. And these accounts pay anywhere between 4 to 5% annually in interest that you earn 4 to 5% in interest. So again, you give me $100 at the end of the year, you have $104 or $105. And that feels, and it is so much more money. That is 10 times as much money. And it is something that takes you 15 minutes to set up. And again, another great, the reason why SoFi is great, they have a high yield checking and a high yield savings account. So with the checking account, you can get 0.5%. So essentially what you would have been getting from a traditional savings account, but through a checking account. And with the high yield savings account, with direct deposit, you can get, right now, I believe the rate is up to 4.60%.
Wow.
So you're getting
what's the difference between what's the difference between checking and savings? Like savings, you have to have a minimum, or you have to keep it in there for a certain amount of days or something. Like if you had 10 grand that you were like, okay, well, I'm going to listen to Vivian and I'm going to take this to a high yield account. Why would not just put it in a savings account? If you don't need to spend it now, but like you want to have it available if you need it and want to go on a vacation.
Here's the big gold plated secret is you can. And the thing about checking and savings accounts that are different is that checking accounts, you can pull in and out money as much as you want. With savings accounts, you can only withdraw up to 6 times a month. So savings accounts are not great if you're like, oh, well, I've got 4 credit cards that are all being paid out of this one account, and I've got to make a mortgage payment, and I've got to make a car payment. Now you're already at your 6. Yeah. You suddenly need more money. You cannot get it out that month. However, what I would say is that, if you are someone who only has 1 credit card or 2 credit cards, you can pay it out of a savings account. And there aren't huge penalties or anything like drawbacks to doing that. Your checking account is basically your day-to-day account, the one you use to spend right now. Your savings account is for stuff that you may not necessarily need to be paying for today, but want to save up for later. And I highly recommend opening up multiple savings accounts, or at least through some of these online banks, opening up multiple, to your point, small pots of money, because you can have certain vaults for a vacation, a vault for a wedding, a vault for a car down payment, a car for a home down payment. You've got lots of options, and you can have different savings for different reasons.
I love that. And then I see some of these people that are like, you could get this interest rate for a new account. And there's like bonuses, right? Like, and it gets higher to open because they want you to come open the account. So you get like for the first year, you get like more interest or something, right?
Yeah, 100%.
The Lady Gang.
Becca and Jack, we have time for each to ask your questions.
Okay. Well, mine is, Dave Ramsey is, he's like the boomer generation, but he does
Mr.
have these
Yucky.
Mr. Yucky. He has these hard and fast rules, which helped me way back in the day, like to really understand what I needed to have at all times. So do you have hard and fast rules about like 3 months emergency money that is set aside somewhere? This is this. Do you have rules for percentage of what your rent or your mortgage should be as compared to your overall salary? Like, do you have any of those things that are helpful where girls can just kind of get their ducks in a row and have really tangible goals to be like, I'm not buying that new dress until I have 3 months emergency backup in this savings account?
Yeah. I would say if you're single, 3 to 6 months of living expenses, put it in a high yield savings account. That is your rainy day fund. That is your emergency fund. Mm-hmm. But here's the tailored piece. If you are in a family situation where people depend on you, like children, pets, a partner, and you have a home, like a mortgage instead of a rent payment, I would say you want to have closer to 9 to 12 months of living expenses set aside just as your rainy day fund. Again, put it in a high yield savings account so it can at least earn a little bit of something for you. Another hard and fast rule I would say is don't spend money on things that you can't buy twice.
Wait, I need an example.
So, for example,
Like a Birkin bag.
right. So like say you have
Oh, I get it. Like, yeah,
So, like,
you
you
can't
have-
afford to buy twice.
yes. So if you have $10,000 in the bank and you're like, I could certainly afford a $6,000 Chanel bag. You can't afford to buy it twice, so you can't afford to buy it. I don't like to say you shouldn't spend more than XYZ percentage of your money on any one thing because things do vary based on where you live. Like putting a percentage limit on housing in a place like New York City or a place like LA or a place like SF is silly because you're going to be spending a larger portion of your income on housing, on transpo. You live in a major metro. That's the case. What I will say also is that like, if you just want an eyeball, like a quick one of these, sorry guys, I just like licked my finger and stuck it in the air.
It was cheap.
I was like, oh, one of these.
You're
I was
such
like,
a
oh,
boss. She's just such a boss. I
just
love
like
you.
leaning back, just so
I
smart.
just
The
love
way
her.
your brain works, you just
I know. God.
If you want to do one of these, a 50-30-20 breakout of your take home pay is really helpful. So 50% of your take home pay, not what you make every year. That is a different number. The number on I make XYZ a year, a lot of that number goes towards taxes. So this is your take home pay. This is what gets deposited into your bank account via direct deposit. This is not the number on the job description that you signed. What you take home, 50% goes towards needs. So things like your housing, things like utilities, things like your insurance, things like basic groceries. That is needs. 30% goes towards wants. This is the nails, the lashes, the drinks out with friends, the new bag, what have you, 30%. And 20% goes towards future you. So saving, debt pay down, investing. And by doing that as a general rule of thumb, you'll be in a good spot. If you're at 55% needs, don't worry about it. It's okay. If you're at, 45% needs, even better. But that is a rough jump off point. The ideal scenario is that you start 50-30-20 and over time you make more money, you have more money, and you don't let lifestyle inflation, lifestyle creep get the best of you. So your spending stays relatively similar. Sure, it can come up a little bit, but it stays relatively similar. And over time, those 50 and 30 categories are a smaller and smaller portion of your total take-home pay. And that 20%, that saving, debt pay down, and investing is a larger and larger percentage of your total take-home pay. And that essentially means you're taking more care of future you, and today you costs less.
Oh,
I love that. I love that.
Jack, do you have one?
yeah. Okay. So all of our girls that want to like get a hold of their finances, they're going to read your book. But then if there's somebody like me, like I am such a dummy when it comes to everything. My husband is the one that's like so good at it. If
Jack, no. Sorry. Go ahead.
I know. I'm scared. I mean, I've always been scared of it, but
She's
that's
smart
another
enough
story.
to figure it out. If she needs to, she'll figure
I'll figure it out. But if you're a dummy, are there any like apps out there that you recommend, or a next step that you would recommend after reading your book to kind of take that first leap into having that literacy when it comes to investing, financial ability, everything like that?
Yeah. So first and foremost, I have to address this. Jack, you cannot let your mans be the money manager in your home, because every woman needs to know exactly what is going on in their family's financial situation.
I mean, I do. I know what's going on, but he's
do you know,
way more
the password
literate.
to your but do you know
Yes.
the passwords to your brokerage accounts?
Well, we just got married, by the way, too. Like, he is like finally getting a look over what's going on in my financial situation. I know everything. And I'm also not giving myself enough credit. I'm not an idiot, but I just don't like doing it. And he's very helpful, I guess, is more of where I'm at.
You don't feel as empowered. You're not as confident in like the extra stuff, like the investing and but you know what's going on. You have a handle on everything.
No, I know everything that's going on. I don't like doing it, and he's helpful. But I know I'm there when
this is a good lesson. But this is a great lesson.
No, absolutely.
I would say, one, make sure that you also, you can be really honest about this, but I would also say like keep your own bank account with some of your own money.
Oh no, we are not combining. I mean, we'll have like a joint account, but that's it.
Perfect. Okay. So now on to your question about what is the jump off point. I would say there are tons of apps out there that are great for budgeting. You Need a Budget, Pocket Guard, SoFi has a system that you can use. Another thing is so important is financial literacy. So like understanding and essentially like your ability to Google. A site that I think is so great is called Investopedia. It's basically Wikipedia, but for finance terms. And they do a great job because if there's any word that you don't know and don't understand, you can search it up there and they break down what it means. And then they give you a TLDR of the points that you need to know that are most important about it.
Oh, I love that.
And it's just an easy, fast way to get yourself in the game without having to like go down the wormhole of like, if I don't know what this means, then I don't know what this means. And then I don't know what that means. So that helps break it down very quick. I'd also say, just letting technology do the heavy lifting for you is also a great way to get started. Back in the day, our parents or grandparents would oftentimes go get financial advisors. And my word of wisdom is the vast majority of people do not need financial advisors because their financial situations are not complex enough. Even if you make a ton of money at a standard W-2 job, you don't need a financial advisor because your financial picture is not complicated. You just make more. And FAs typically charge anywhere between 1 to 1.5%. And that is so expensive over the course of your lifetime. That could be anywhere between tens of thousands to hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions of dollars. So I very much am anti-FA for most people. But if you want that experience, you want that white glove help, just get a robo-advisor. Basically, you go to a robo-advisor. There are tons out there. SoFi, Wealthfront, Betterment, Ally Invest, Fidelity even just opened one. Lots of different options. You go, you take a quick quiz, and you tell them how old you are, how much money you make, how much money you have, what your future looks like. Do you want to have a family? Do you want to have kids? Where you want to live? What does that essentially picture look like? And then they pick investments for you. So you don't actually have to go through the heavy lifting of researching everything and being like, does this make sense for me? They'll do it for you. And it gets you invested early and it doesn't take a lot of time.
And this would qualify as that 20% for future you. investing
Yes.
money. Okay.
Yes.
Great. You are
I'm going to leave you with Becca and I had we had a real come to Jesus in December. We were together doing LadyGang, and then we went to the ballet, darling. And, and we did that thing that girls do where we're like going to an event and we're planning our outfits, and we both went online, bought things. We're like, we need a new dress. It's an event. We need a new dress. And then I don't have the shoes to go with the dress. So we got the shoes. And then we were like, should we get our hair and makeup done? And, like, listen, I know it's very champagne-y, but that's what we did. And I know a lot of people do the same thing. And then we were like, wait a second, what would smart us do? And Becca ended up borrowing a dress that I had worn once from my closet. And we were like having this discussion, and it really hit me. And it's actually on my manifest list this year. Use what you have. Like, that is my mantra for 2024. I really, honestly, even a few days ago, Stanley came out with the new red mugs, and there's like all these TikToks and they're like everywhere. And people are like, oh my God, the red mug. And I'm like, Keltie, and I had to grasp myself. And I was like, you have 2 Stanley mugs, a $40 water bottle. And you don't work in, on the construction site where you need your drink to stay cold for 12 hours. Like, you're in your home. You're in your home. You're fine.
You have ice at your fingertips.
I have ice,
a fancy ice machine.
Yeah, you have an ice machine.
Right. So it's like, you don't need to just go get the cream one that you liked last time and use that. So I really want our girls to use what you have. Of course, it's nice to buy new things and absolutely do it. But it's like, you have a lot. And you just are not going through your clothes enough. There's you can go to Pinterest and find an outfit to copy and literally make it from what you already own. So I'm in use what I own mode.
And I'm an idiot. And I'm like, it took me until I was this many years old to be like, you know what? Just because you go spend only $20 or only $100, I'm like, you only have to spend $100 to get to 10 times to get to $1,000. And the amount of times I say it's only $100 to myself in a month is thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So stupid that it took me so long.
Also, wait, guys, I have a cool site that you guys should learn about and know about. One of my girlfriends founded this company called Ulta Daily, and you upload photos to the website, and it's basically share from Clueless, that little computer machine that basically
digitizes your wardrobe.
Yes. And then that way you can literally go and be like, pull me a wardrobe or pull me an outfit for this event, and it'll put together stuff from your closet.
That's amazing.
What's it called? I want to get it now.
Styled by Alta.com. And what's crazy is that all these rich people that I know are paying this company $10,000 to just come out and do exactly this.
Yes.
It's literally Clueless. I love
Okay,
that.
we're going to do that. All right,
This
everyone.
is so cool.
I know.
Okay.
If you're not
I
already
completely lost all 3 of you guys. You guys are all on this website now.
Well, I have to make sure I didn't lose this every time I'm on it.
Very important.
Yes.
What?
And then I'm going to go order your book. That is money I am spending.
Hell yes. Money well spent.
And also, I just want to homage that on the back of Vivian's book, she's in a bathtub, and we did a bathtub photo randomly, and is actually the logo of LadyGang. We redid our logo, but we need to upgrade because we were just naked in the tub, and Viv is in a blazer suit in the tub, and the tub is full of money.
Oh my God.
And so 2024
brand.
Don't just think about three hoes in a tub. Think about Vivian in a power suit in a tub full of money with a giant rock on her figure. I mean, you are goals. And what's exciting is that we're going to give away this copy of the book on our LadyGang Instagram today. Woo! When this episode comes out, because I have 2 copies and I want to pay it forward. And I'm so excited. Thank you for being here. You guys can follow Vivian everywhere she is. I know you're already following her on TikTok, Instagram. Check out the book, order it right now. It's already a New York Times bestseller. So, she already made it, but
go support her.
Yeah. Rich AF, wherever books are sold. And you can find me as your rich BFF across social media.
I love
We love
it.
our rich
Thank
BFF.
you.
We weren't here for a long time. We were here for a
Rich
good
time.
Thanks for listening. The Lady Gang is produced by Alex Ingber, Steve Delameter, and Jared Monaco. Make sure you subscribe, rate, and review our podcast. And if you love it, share it with your friends on social media. Like, oh my God, I just listened to Lady Gang. This episode's so great. Swipe up to listen. And if you really want to, which we know you do, please follow us on social. At Keltie, at Becca, at jacvanek, and at The Lady Gang. Sign up for our newsletter at theladygang.com and join our secret Facebook group. It's super fun. See you next Tuesday.